When I think of Leo Tolstoy, I envision a man who, despite having everything, fame, fortune, and a large family, was swept into a deep existential crisis that made him question the meaning of life. In his writings, Tolstoy recounts how this inner conflict drove him to the brink of suicide. It was at that point of despair that he began seeking answers beyond the material realm, finding in spirituality and a simpler life the key to what he considered the true purpose of existence. Tolstoy understood that life cannot be reduced to rational analysis. In his work Confession, he expresses, "What meaning does my life have if it will be destroyed by death?" This question tormented him deeply, as everything he had achieved on a personal level, from his success as a writer to his social status, seemed meaningless in the face of the inevitability of death. It was then that he turned to spiritual teachings, particularly the Gospels, which he regarded as a source of wisdom on how to live with purpose. This search is not foreign to our daily experience. At some point, we have all asked ourselves whether our professional goals, material possessions, or even our relationships are truly leading us toward a meaningful life. Today, Tolstoy invites us to look beyond the superficial, to find a purpose that transcends our immediate ambitions. One of the fundamental concepts in his philosophy is the notion of finitude. For him, recognizing our mortality should not be a cause for despair, but an opportunity to redirect our lives. Death, rather than being the end, becomes a compass guiding us toward what is essential. Tolstoy does not seek complicated answers, but rather a deep connection with simple values: love, honest work, and compassion. Perhaps we should ask ourselves the same question he did. Are we dedicating our energy to what truly matters, or are we trapped in a cycle of vanities? One of the pillars of Tolstoy's thought is his critique of the values imposed by society. In his essay, What I Believe, he argues that social structures, from wealth to political hierarchies, alienate us from a genuine life. The pursuit of accumulating riches or attaining power disconnects us from what truly gives life meaning, living in harmony with others and with our own conscience. In his existential crisis, Tolstoy realized that the achievements he had pursued as a writer and aristocrat were ultimately empty. Everything we build with our hands and ambition will eventually disappear. True purpose does not lie in what we possess, but in how we treat others and how we face our moral responsibilities. This makes me reflect on how we often measure our success based on external standards. We take pride in our degrees, incomes, or the number of followers on social media. But we rarely ask ourselves whether these goals genuinely make us feel fulfilled. Tolstoy challenges us to look beyond these superficial metrics and question whether we are building a life that makes sense to us, not just one that looks good from the outside. A clear example of this is how we manage our time. Imagine someone who works tirelessly to buy a bigger house or a newer car but neglects their family in the process. According to Tolstoy, this approach is disconnected from the true purpose of life, which is not to accumulate wealth but to cultivate relationships and live with integrity. It is not about renouncing material aspirations, but about remembering that they are tools, not ends in themselves. What inspires me most about Tolstoy is his ability to simplify the complex. He invites us to understand that the meaning of life is not hidden in some distant corner, but in our daily actions and our ability to prioritize what truly matters. For him, life becomes meaningful when lived with honesty, and that honesty begins when we realize that the values imposed by society are not the ultimate truth. Another key concept in Tolstoy's philosophy is the role of love as the essence of life's meaning. In his essays and novels, Tolstoy describes love not as a fleeting emotion, but as a universal force that connects human beings in their shared experience. For him, love is what gives life cohesion, what transforms suffering into purpose, and what elevates us above daily trivialities. As he writes in The Kingdom of God is Within You, love is the only rational way to understand life and give it meaning. What is interesting about Tolstoy's concept of love is that it is not limited to romantic or familial love, but extends to a broader, almost spiritual love, one that involves acting with compassion toward all living beings. This love, for Tolstoy, is a principle that transcends individual differences and becomes a means to achieve true connection with others without seeking rewards or personal benefits. It is selfless love, one that extends beyond the boundaries of family, friends, or partners. It is the love experienced through acts of kindness toward all living beings, independent of any visible reciprocity. For him, living according to this principle was the most authentic way to give life meaning without falling into the traps of vanity or selfishness. In his view, universal love is also an antidote to suffering. Instead of seeing suffering as something destructive or meaningless, Tolstoy saw it as an opportunity to grow, to find a purpose greater than pain itself. Through love and compassion, suffering is transformed into an opportunity to connect more deeply with others and with ourselves. For him, this was the true essence of life, the ability to give and receive love, beyond what society considers important or valuable. Reflecting on this, we encounter a crucial lesson from Tolstoy. It is not about finding grand or complex answers to existential questions, but about living authentically and consciously. No matter how big or small our environment is, what truly matters is how we relate to it, how we treat others, and how we live in harmony with our own conscience. Ultimately, Tolstoy's philosophy invites us to re-examine our lives and priorities, to ask ourselves whether we are truly living in accordance with what we consider most valuable. As we face the inevitable reality of our own finitude, Tolstoy challenges us to seek a purpose beyond the ephemeral and superficial. He invites us to simplify, to let go of what is meaningless, and to focus on what truly brings us peace and fulfillment. Love, honesty, compassion, and responsibility toward ourselves and others. It is a call to rethink what it means to live a fulfilling life, to look within ourselves and recognize that the true meaning of life is not found in what we own or achieve, but in how we live and how we treat others. Perhaps like Tolstoy, we should ask ourselves the fundamental question: are we living authentically and with purpose, or are we simply chasing illusions? The answer to that question could be the key to finding the true meaning of our existence. For Tolstoy, the key to life's meaning lies in living with coherence, aligned with the values that truly define us as human beings. This approach, far from being an escape from life's difficulties, is a call to live deeply and consciously, accepting our imperfections and limitations while striving to become the best versions of ourselves. Life is not measured by what we gain, but by the quality of our relationships, how we face adversities with integrity, and how we work to build a more just and compassionate world. Tolstoy's work, with its clarity and simplicity, reminds us that the true purpose of life is not to attain positions of power, wealth, or fame, but to live in harmony with what is essential. He invites us to revisit our priorities, question the narratives imposed on us by society, and seek a deeper connection with our inner selves and with others. It is a constant challenge, but one that offers a richer, more meaningful, and ultimately happier life. In the end, we see that the true freedom Tolstoy proposes is not a life without rules, but a life guided by solid principles based on love, empathy, and respect. He urges us to stop chasing external goals that only divert us from what truly matters. Love, understood as a force that unites us, is the true driving force that gives direction to our lives. So if you ever find yourself lost in the whirlwind of everyday life, remember Tolstoy's teachings. The answer is not to complicate your existence or seek impossible formulas. It lies in simplifying, focusing on what really matters, living with love, and connecting with others in a genuine and honest way. In summary, life, according to Tolstoy, makes sense when we live it from a perspective of love and responsibility, knowing that time is limited and that, in the end, what will truly remain is the mark we leave on others. So how do you want to live your life? Chasing superficial success, or building a life rich in meaning and values that transcend time? The choice is ours, and Tolstoy reminds us that the answer lies in our everyday actions and how we choose to live each day. Tolstoy challenges us to question our daily lives and redirect our attention toward what truly matters, away from the distractions that consume us in modern society. The pursuit of recognition, the drive to have more and more, or the constant competition to outdo others does not lead to a fulfilling life. These pursuits pull us away from what is fundamental, the ability to live in peace with ourselves and with others. He invites us to understand that true wealth is not in material possessions, but in shared moments, compassion, mutual respect, and the simple act of being true to our deepest values. It is a call to authenticity, to live according to our own beliefs and not external expectations. Life becomes more meaningful when we act with honesty, without seeking others' approval, and when we align ourselves with a life that reflects what we truly believe is important. Tolstoy reminds us that despite the challenges we may face, we always have the power to choose our attitude, decide how to respond to adversity, and live with a higher purpose. Reflecting on death, far from being something dark or depressing, for Tolstoy, is a tool to help us put our existence into perspective. It forces us to ask what we would leave behind, how we would be remembered, and what true mark we have left on the world. Death, then, becomes an ally to live more consciously, to focus on what truly holds value, such as love, human connection, and integrity. Thus, when facing life's deepest questions, as Tolstoy did, we find a path not to despair, but to liberation. Life becomes meaningful when we move away from superficiality and focus on what really matters. True wealth lies in living with purpose, being kind and generous, taking responsibility for our decisions, and living with the intention of doing good not for personal gain, but for the greater good. Finally, Tolstoy's lesson is clear. There is no definitive answer that gives life meaning. But there is a way of living that allows us to find that meaning in our day-to-day lives, in our choices, in our interactions, in our ability to love, and in living authentically. Life has as much value as the meaning we give it, and it is our responsibility to make it a worthwhile existence. So, when faced with life's dilemmas, inner struggles, or external pressures, we can remember Tolstoy's teachings. Instead of being swept away by the currents of modern life saturated with consumerism and constant social comparisons, we can choose the path of simplicity, authenticity, and love. Living an authentic life, according to Tolstoy, does not mean giving up our aspirations, but putting them into perspective and making our relationships and daily actions the true source of meaning. This perhaps involves a shift in our worldview. Instead of accumulating material goods, the true purpose could lie in planting the seeds of love, generosity, and empathy, knowing that in the end, the only thing that truly lasts is the mark we leave in others' hearts. And in doing so, we discover that life, though finite, is rich in meaning because what we do with it can transcend our own lives and reach those around us. Life does not have to be a constant struggle for more. Tolstoy invites us to pause and reflect on what we are really seeking. Often we are so focused on what we want to achieve that we forget what truly matters. And in realizing this, we can experience a profound liberation. When we let go of the idea that the value of our lives depends on what we gain and begin to live with honesty, love, and compassion, we start to understand that the true purpose lies in how we choose to live each day. So, if you ever feel lost or disconnected, remember that, like Tolstoy, you can find meaning in simplicity, in genuine connection with others, and in commitment to values that allow you to stay true to yourself. There may not be a magic formula for finding the meaning of life, but it is clear that it lies in the little things, in the choices we make, in the relationships we cultivate, and in the positive impact we leave in the world. Ultimately, what Tolstoy teaches us is an invitation to live more consciously, to question what truly matters, and to make each day an opportunity to get closer to who we truly are. Life can be profoundly meaningful if we choose to live it with purpose and not according to what the world expects from us, but according to what our hearts know is right. This is an invitation to look within, to seek purpose not in what we accumulate, but in how we live, how we love, and how we impact those around us. Tolstoy teaches us that what truly matters is not external achievements or social recognition, but our ability to be honest with ourselves, live with integrity, and build authentic relationships. It is easy to fall into the trap of superficiality, of measuring the value of our lives by what we own or the image we project to the world. But true freedom is found when we let go of those illusions and focus on what truly matters. Life becomes meaningful when we stop chasing empty goals and start living in accordance with what deeply resonates within us. In the end, we all have the ability to choose how we want to live, to redirect our lives toward what is essential, and that redirection can begin at any moment. We don't need to be great philosophers or have absolute answers. We only need to be willing to look beyond the immediate and ask ourselves what we are truly seeking. The answer is not in what we acquire, but in how we choose to live each day. With these thoughts, Tolstoy invites us to live more fully, to set aside the noise of external expectations, and connect with what truly gives our existence meaning. We may not find all the answers immediately, but at least we can live with the certainty that we are on the path to a more authentic and profound life. Thus, Tolstoy's legacy is not only found in his books, but also in the lessons he leaves us on how to live with purpose, love, and wisdom in a world that often leads us astray. Finally, life does not have to be an endless quest for more. On the contrary, What we need is to remember what truly matters, what we already have, and what we can give to others. With that awareness, we can find the peace and purpose that Tolstoy so deeply sought and live in a way that truly makes a difference. By understanding this, we realize that it is not about reaching a distant goal or accumulating more material achievements, but about finding peace in the present, living authentically, and connecting with what is truly essential. When we stop chasing external perfection and focus on who we are and what we give to others, we discover that life, as it is, holds profound meaning. Tolstoy shows us that living with love and compassion, dedicating ourselves to what truly matters, and being mindful of our daily actions can be the key to finding inner peace. His message is clear. Life is not measured by what we own or what we achieve, but by how we live and the quality of the relationships we cultivate along the way. This is Tolstoy's legacy, a man who, despite having it all, discovered that the most important thing was to live simply, connected with others, and aligned with what truly gave his life meaning. His invitation is for us to do the same, to look within, question our priorities, and choose to live with honesty and love. So, the next time you face a dilemma or question about the purpose of your life, remember that the answer is not in what others expect of you or in the social standards imposed on us. The true answer lies in how you choose to live each day, a life full of purpose, love, and sincere action. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the mind of one of the greatest thinkers in history. May Tolstoy's teachings inspire you to live a richer, more meaningful, and more conscious life. Until next time.